Hi, I'm Kara of Lady Fox Stitches. I'm a long arm quilter located in northern Nevada, and I love to talk about all things quilty. Today I want to talk about some of the quilts that have come off my Bernina Q24 long arm recently, and I want to update you about some of my personal quilting projects. Later in the video, I'll also share some of my thoughts about stiff quilts and how that may or may not be related to the density of quilting. Hang around for a bit and join me. Let's get started. The first quilt I want to show you today is this one. This is called Flowers and Chocolates. And it was the pattern included in the Fat Quarter Shop's Cupid box from 2025. It included this pattern and these fabrics. This fabric line is Lella Boutique's Love Blooms. It's a great Valentine's line of fabric. It's really pretty and sweet. On the back, customer had a bright red / bright pink backing. It almost looks like it could be a batik, but it's not. Almost like an alcohol ink or maybe watercolor with salt, if you've ever tried that. How's that look? It's really pretty, very bright and vibrant. The pantograph on this one is OESD's Mod Blossom. It's a really cute modern floral that alternates right side up and upside down across the quilt. It's quite dense. I stitched this out on my Bernina with the original size that the pantograph came with. So it came in quite tight and it looks really fabulous on this quilt. This quilt was 40.5 inches by 48.5 inches. This turned out really nice. We used a white glide thread because this background is very bright white. And I thought that white thread helped keep that brightness overall. The batting in this one is Quilter's Dream 100% Cotton Supreme. So it's their highest loft in their cotton batting. It has a great weight to it. It's very, it doesn't drape as easily as, say, a bamboo or something. So it holds its shape really well. This batting is very good to use for wall hangings and table runners, things of that nature, just because of its stiffness, if you want to call it that. So this quilt turned out great, and we'll get that returned to my customer. So let me show you what is next. Last week I was able to show you my chickens quilt top, unquilted, not quite finished, but this week I was able to get it quilted and bound. So let me show you how cute this turned out. As I was quilting it, I couldn't help but ooh and ah over it the whole time. It was really fun to watch stitch out. So I'll bring it in so you can really see. The pantograph on this one is called Seis by Jess of the Longarm League. And of course, seis in Spanish means 6. And it's a hexagon shape, which is a 6-sided shape, just echoed around and around. It has a chicken wire look to it without being actually chicken wire. So it's kind of a squashed hexagon. And we got that on there pretty dense, pretty close together. And I love how it gives the effect of the chicken wire without being actual chicken wire shaped. The backing, it's the barnyard fabric. It's so cute. And we bound it, or I bound it with the navy barnyard fabric. Bound it with a navy blue thread, which did leave on the backing, you can maybe see it here, a blue stitch line close to that binding. But I think it turned out just fine. So I stitched it to the front of the quilt. Nope, let me get that right. I stitched it to the back of the quilt first and then flipped it over to the top and stitched it down. I wanted to really keep an eye on where I was going to be stitching so it looks nice and tidy on the front. I think it turned out really great. The thread color on this one is called Warm Gray, and it's a glide, and it blended into this warm gray taupe background fabric. So it was a good pick for this quilt. It just really blended right in. The batting is the Quilter's Dream 100% Cotton Select, which is their mid-loft grade batting. So it's a little thinner than that last one I was showing you, but still the 100% cotton. Turned out really cute. I'm super, super pleased. I'm excited to get my name on this one and get it in the wash and get it washed up and crinkled. I always embroider my name on the quilt somewhere just to mark it as mine. That's one of the ways I consider it labeled. Next one I want to share with you is this awesome Ocean Breeze quilt. I showed you the top last week. I'd had this done for a while, was waiting for a backing, had found the backing, and finally I was able to get it on the machine and quilt it up. Let me show you. Let me hold it up for you. So this is called Ocean Breeze. The pattern and the quilt kit came from Sewing 101. You can find them online. I'm actually going to turn it. It's a square quilt, but I like the way the pantograph runs this way, looking at it. I just like how that looks. Isn't that such a cute quilt pattern? And then that awesome pantograph. This pantograph is called Double Dutch, and it is by Barbie Mills of the Quilting Mill. So you can look that up there. The backing is this red and blue plaid that I found at one of my local quilt shops. It was discounted, so that was a great find. And it blended in with the right tones, with these red and white, or red and blue Tilda fabrics. Oh, they're so pretty. I just really love this. So the pantograph, like I said, is called Double Dutch. I stitched it out with a glide thread in linen, which again matches this background. The background on this quilt is a Tilda solid called Dove. It's just really lovely. The batting on this one is Quilter's Dream Poly Puff. So it has a high loft, it's very warm and super durable. So it gives it a really extra textured quilting result because of that puff. Oh, it's so cute. I did not get this bound yet, so I'll work on that this week. That's definitely on the to-do list now. Get this bound, get my name on it, and get it washed. I love to wash my quilts. That is something I know not all quilters agree with. Some like them very smooth and unwashed, but I really like to pull mine out of the dryer and get them all crinkly. This past Saturday was the Fat Quarters Shop's Jolly Bar Day. I had told you in last week's video that I had a few Jolly Bars that I wanted to sew into a quilt, and I used the pattern that came with the Jolly Bar. My original goal was to get this sewn up on Saturday, but I had family come into town and there was just no way that was going to happen. So I visited with them and we had a really, really good time together, but we didn't get much sewing done. But I was able to get the top all finished. So let me show you that. So here it is. I put a border around all four sides, just a plain border. This quilt is made with 4 patches and then these half square triangle 4 patches, just sewn in, you know, every other one. I kept the pinks and reds in the full squares and used the blue ones, the blue fabrics, in the half square triangles. The background I used on this, you can see, is a mottled or like grunge brown. It's kind of a medium brown. It's really pretty. I found it at my local quilt shop here right in town. It's a great color, just really soft and warm. So it matches this line of fabrics really well. This line of fabric is called Antoinette, and that's by French General. And the pattern is called Parisienne. So that's what that is. I did not get this quilted. I didn't even get the back sewn up and seamed yet, but we'll get that on the long arm, hopefully really soon. Turned out great. It was fun to make. And it was really simple and quite easy to put together. Went together pretty quickly, which sometimes is really nice when you've been doing something a little more complicated. So something like this, you can just put in your favorite audiobook and just stitch away. So that turned out really nice. Excited about that one. Because I had family come into town, I didn't get to sew as much as maybe I normally would. So this pattern, which I showed you last week called Sunny Days, did not get as far, I didn't get as far with this as I thought maybe I would. I thought maybe I could get it all cut out and ready to sew for this week, but I'm not quite there yet. I did get my fabrics pressed and ready to go, and I started cutting. This is my Kona Banana. That's the yellow I've chosen to use for this pattern. So I got some of my squares cut, but not all of them. So that's definitely moved up to the top of the list as well. It's on the cutting table for this week. All right, now I want to share some of my thoughts about stiff quilts and how it may or may not be related to the denseness of the quilting. I have a sample quilt here I want to share with you. I made this one about a year ago using just scraps. I tried not to cut up my scraps, but just to sew them together, and this is what we came up with. This is what it turned out to be. It's quite crazy. It's just patchworky, scrappy. And I didn't pay any attention to the types of fabrics or the colors in them. I just put them all together and sewed them up. It's pretty cute. But I want to share with you that this quilt here has been washed probably 3 times. It's about a year old. It has the 100% cotton supreme batting. It's the thickest batting, thickest cotton batting that Quilter's Dream makes. And I showed you the quilt at the very beginning. Let me get it out again. This one. This is also made with that same exact batting, and it's quite stiff. It wants to kind of stand on its own. It keeps its shape really, really well. But of course, it's not been washed yet. This quilt here, like I said, has been washed about 3 times, I would say, and dried in the dryer. Just standard, you know, washing machine stuff. But it is the softest, drapiest quilt. So it went from being quite stiff when it came off the long arm to this soft, wonderful, cozy quilt. It has quite a lot of weight to it, so it's very cozy to snuggle up with. It has no stiffness whatsoever. But one thing I want to show you up close is the quilting. This was done on my other long arm, and it was all done freehand, and I chose to just meander it quite densely. This has a lot of quilting on it. You see that? I don't know if you can see that. But because oh here, this fabric right here on the back shows it good. It's quite a lot of quilting. And after it's been washed and dried, it crinkles up, but it is so, so soft. I have heard many times people say things like, I don't want my quilt to be stiff, so I don't want the quilting to be very dense. And it's been in my experience that the denseness of the quilting doesn't have a lot to do with the stiffness of a quilt, but it's a combination of things. One of the things is how much it's been washed. Washing just takes out the sizing and the stiffness of the original fabric. A lot of quilters don't pre-wash their fabrics, and so they have that kind of starchy feel to them, which is stiff. And the shrinking of the fabrics all together with the batting creates this crinkly stuff, and it just softens a quilt when we wash. So if you don't want to wash your quilts, there's lots of different reasons not to wash quilts. Just know that I think your quilts will be much more stiff, which may be exactly what you want, especially if it hangs on a wall or lays on a table or something like that. But I just want to share that the denseness of a quilt, even the type of batting in a quilt, doesn't necessarily mean it will be a stiff quilt. Some quilts, some battings are thinner and they have a little more drape originally, but once some of these fibers are washed, you really can't tell that stiffness. So I just want to bust that myth about stiff quilts and dense quilting. They're not necessarily related. I just want to mention that I carry all kinds of Quilter's Dream batting in my studio. I have Cotton Supreme, Cotton Select, I have 80/20, I have Poly Puff, and I carry wool and bamboo. So lots of choices there to choose from, and they all have their pros and cons. It just depends on what you want and what you like. So when a customer who doesn't know exactly what they're going for comes to me and says, what should I choose? I often say, well, what's in your budget? What do you like? What do you want it to feel like? Do you want a heaviness? Do you want it to be lightweight? Do you want it to drape? Do you want it to hang on a wall or lay flat on a table? Those are all things to consider when choosing batting. There's no right or wrong choice. It's just what you like. I have quite a few projects that are working their way up on the to-do list. I had a couple customer quilts come in, so we'll get those on the Longarm. One of them, you can see in the background, is an antique quilt, and I'm really excited to work with that. It's going to be a lot of fun to quilt up for my customer. I told you I'd bind my Ocean Breeze quilt and get that going and get my Sunny Days quilt all cut, and maybe I can start sewing on that. We'll see how that goes. A couple other things I want to get working on is my Coriander Quilts Yesteryear quilt. So I got this pattern from her website. This is Cori Yoder, and it works with a panel. It's designed to use her panel. Look how, you guys, this is the cutest thing. So it's these blocks that kind of look like they're cross-stitched. Right, so we'll get those cut apart. And then it has, look at this pattern. It has the cutest sashing between these blocks. The little 9 patch in there with the sashing. I think it's really cute. So I was able to order the sashing blue and then the border fabric that I want to add on that. So I'm hoping to get that in the works too, get that moving, maybe get that cut and started. It looks like it's a pretty simple quilt to make, but lots of things to do always, right? So we'll see how much time we have and how much we get done with that. And one more thing I've been pondering and thinking about is my Denise Schmidt fabric. So I've got this bundle, fat quarter bundle, with quite a few different prints. It's so much fun. I am a huge fan of Denise Schmidt. I got to meet her at QuiltCon this year, and I fangirled for a second and hardly knew what to say to her. So that was really, really fun to meet her. I've been debating what I want to make with this line of fabric. And I originally had thought I want to make a quilt that's houses. And there's quite a few different patterns out there to choose from. With these little neighborhoods, maybe some trees, things like that. I thought that would be really cute. In fact, I saw one made with this line, and that's where that idea came from. But the more I think about it, the more I think I might switch it up and not do a house quilt or houses quilt, but maybe this one. It's called Twinkle. It's another Cluck Cluck Sew pattern, but these Nice, looks like two sizes of stars, and they're just all kind of arranged together with a real mixed up look. I love that look, and I'm thinking these bright Denise Schmidt colors will be perfect for that. So that's one of the ideas, and I think I have enough fabric for that. And then there's this one. This was a free pattern on the Moda website. It's called Sunny Day. It's interesting because it's not to be mixed up with this other one, Sunny Days. We got Sunny Day and Sunny Days. Pretty funny. But this pattern, it's like churn blocky. I don't know. I just thought, oh, the mix of these prints from this Denise Schmidt line will be awfully cute in something like this. So this is maybe something I'm considering as I think about what to do with this really beautiful fabric. So I'm really excited about that. It has been such a fun time here chatting with you in my studio. If you could like this video and subscribe to my channel, I would really, really appreciate that. If you have any questions for me or have any opinions about the things we've talked about today, including batting choices, dense quilting, and stiff quilts, I'd love to hear those. So just leave those in the comments below. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Lady Fox Stitches, and of course you can always check out my website if you need long arm quilting services. That's ladyfoxstitches.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon with more quilt finishes and quilt talk. Keep doing all those quilty things, and I'll see you real soon.